Did you tell your family? No.
No.
Okay, thank you for the surprise then. All right, here we go. All right, hold on. Wait for
You have
notification.
to carry me through this one since you the
All
expert.
right, all right, here we go. And we are live. I want to thank everyone for tuning in to a very special edition of Off the Record on the People's Podcast. We have a very special guest with us today, Brother Dion Muhammad. He's starting off our new series, Growing Up in the Nation. Mimi says, "Assalamu alaikum, Dion." I'm
I'm
very
letting
honored
everybody.
and humbled to introduce him. For those who don't know, I had to make sure I say it before Dion says it. Dion is the reason I started the podcast because he got tired of seeing me argue with 300 people on my comments, and he hit me one day and was like, "Bro, instead of making these statuses, why don't you just why don't you just do a podcast?" So I took his advice. I'm grateful that I took his advice because that's how everything got started because of Dion. So thank you very much, bro. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam, Joshua, and thank you, sir. It's definitely an honor and a privilege to be, part of the podcast. Coming or following such prestigious people. Obviously, you got a who's who lineup
Yeah.
of people. So yeah, very, very, very proud of you, bro. I think obviously for me, this is just the beginning for you. Uh,
Praise the
as so you continue to grow, you get better equipment. You got your backdrop. About to become official. So yeah, no, it's
Lord.
definitely. I mean, you took it. We had the conversation. You took the suggestion and you ran with it, and I'm extremely proud because it fits you. Definitely something you're good at, and I guess can't wait for the future.
All right, praise be to Allah. Wonderful. Okay, so the first thing we want to know, Brother Dion, people who don't know you, we know you grew up in the nation, went to MUI in Chicago, always been around the Moss properties before you got older and moved away. Who are your parents?
Yeah. So my father's brother Ronnie Muhammad, my mother's sister Lantris Muhammad. Um, Both of them were born and raised on the west side of Chicago. My parents, they joined the nation, I believe it's either 90, 91, around that time, early 90s. I was probably around maybe 6, 7 years old. So yeah, it's just teacher's been a part of our life ever since.
Praise be to Allah. Wonderful. Mimi says, good to see the dynamic duo going. Nadir Daniel, Muhammad puts the hearts. This is our first time watching. Thank you, sister, for watching. Mimi says, thanks for giving him the idea, Dion. Okay, my next question for you is, okay, so I have a template of questions I asked, but I had some special ones for this one.
Right.
What was me and Mimi was talking about this before we went live, us spending so much time at your mom's house, or your dad's house, but your mom's always watching us grow up. But what was your most profound memory of growing up in the nation?
Um, I think if I could, I can't really narrow it down to one maybe like moment. I think it's kind of how Mimi said, where when I go back to think about our childhood and how we just had a unique community where basically, we could be left at the mosque and nobody had to worry about us. I could be left over your house for 5, 6 days, a week, sometimes 2 weeks, and my parents they know that I'm taken care of, and they don't have to worry about anything. Your mother was like my mother, my mother was like your mother, and I think we can say that for countless others that we grew up with. I could just continue to name names, and I think that's probably the most profound thing that I can remember about our childhood. It's just being around so much love. Obviously, it wasn't like everything was perfect, but for as far as we understand it, though, we were very much privileged, and I think that's something that I constantly kind of think back on when I feel like lessons and kind of character that I want to instill in my children. Just that love, that community where you're looking out for each other, looking out for children. Sometimes they don't have to be your children or your relatives or anything of that nature, but just that's the most profoundness that I remember about being in the nation at that time with the love, definitely.
Praise be to Allah. Excellent. Sister Alicia says, I'm Lakem fam. Mimi says,
Like
Sister
song.
Lanchis and Brother Ronnie's house was lit. Dr. Robert Muhammad, our former teacher at MUI, says, Assalamu alaikum, wa alaikum salam, sir. And speaking of MUI, Dion,
Yes,
you got trouble in MUI. What were some of your favorite memories of MUI?
Well, now it was kind of Brother Robert was the first. That was my first teacher at Muhammad University, third grade. I mean, I was about 8 or 9 years old, and that's when I first met you. And I can distinctly remember that we hated each other. Our first couple of months in school, we hated each other. You always had some kind of snarky comment, and I always kind of knew. But I remember Brother Robert, and I remember somehow I always found myself. I think it's probably because of you. I always found myself in some type of trouble. I would go to school and I said, I'm not getting in trouble. I'm not gonna get in trouble today. I'm gonna pay attention. That somehow I get steered off and I get in trouble. And Brother Robert waiting for my dad to pick me up and tell him about something I did. But no, MUI. I mean, Islamic studies. Man, it's some of those lessons that talk about third grade, fourth grade, 8, 9 years old. That the true history of Jesus. The origin of Yaqub, just things that just like Brother Abdullah, just being fed at an early age, and things like that are just kind of, it's priceless. So even though we got our behinds, paddle here and there, and we had to drill and do all type of, disciplinary things that we probably didn't like the most. But I think just having that knowledge of self, man, is just obviously it created, I guess, something, a DNA about you that everywhere you go, people know that you're different from the rest. Everybody know that you have something different. And I can't take any credit from that. It's from Muhammad University, from the teachers that we had.
Hey, we saw a lot. Go ahead, yeah, okay. Sister Bronda, another one of our teachers, said she hasn't smiled this big in days. Seeing you all warmed her heart. Y'all were rough. Thanks, Sister Bronda. Brother Robert.
Sister Bronda.
Brother Robert says, please, Dr. Robert says, please extend a greetings to Brother Dion. He's very proud of you. And he says, wow. Okay, excellent. My next question is, what advice would you give to the 13-year-old Dion, who probably was like in 8th grade?
Right.
We probably about to go to the Cheesecake Factory, you know what I'm saying? What advice would you give to that young Dion after, graduating 8th grade from MUI? What advice would you give to him?
Yeah, I think that it's probably a simple thing, but it's something that I've kind of, as an adult, you start to learn the value of saving, financial literacy, learning importance of credit. That would probably be the biggest thing that I would, or even as 13 years old, if I would have started then, I came from out of high school, never really desired to go to a traditional college. But I found the way as a barber, and I was making good money at a young age. But as fast as I made it, I spent it. And now as an adult with a family, you're looking back on some of those years, 5, 6, 7 years when you're growing into a young man and, making money and making things happen, but not having really an understanding of the future and having something that you can build. And maybe it's not immediate gratification that you get shoes or you get a car, but it's something that you can look back on and say, hey man, I might have 50,000 saved away from my children's education or things of that nature. So it sounds simple, but that's probably one of the first things that I would tell myself: the value of saving and financial literacy. And also I would tell myself to play golf. Until I was an adult. So I would have told myself at 13, I wish I would have started then. I think I would have had a chance to make it on a PGA Tour if I would play golf at an earlier age, definitely.
Okay, excellent. And speaking of the PGA Tour playing golf, I remember you vividly making fun of me for living in Seven Bridges and being out here. It was like, the golf course with this white shit and the NSYNC shit and blah, 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 blah. Now you playing golf. How did you get into golf?
Yeah, no, it's funny how, I guess that's being short-sighted, man. You can't see kind of the horizon of the things that are in the future, but it randomly happened. I was getting ready to cut a friend of mine's hair. We was at the house, you know, my little brothers always into something. And I guess a neighbor was getting ready to throw out an old set of golf clubs. And they're in the backyard and they're whacking and the ball's flying everywhere. And so it's just so happened that the friend that I had with me, he had played golf before. Okay. Again, we walked up to the house and I'm, what are y'all doing? What y'all up to? And so he asked me, had I played before? And I said, no, I never played before. So he gave me a little quick, stand like this, hold the club like this, hold your head still. So it's funny. My first try, obviously, naturally, I whiffed the ball, right? But it was okay. All right, keep your head down. Did it. And as God is my witness, the first shot I made contact with, it was a perfectly struck shot. It was just a perfectly shot. And I was hooked from there. So I took one of the clubs, took a couple of golf balls, and I would go out to a soccer field around our house, and I would just kind of hit, just kind of like a decompressor, if you will. And then I just kept doing it. And then one day I woke up and I decided it was something that I wanted to do. And it kind of coincided with my father. I'm getting old. I'm like 23. He like, all right, son, time for you to get out of my house. You're a grown man, this and that. And I was trying to figure out what I was going to do. And I don't know. I believe in fate sometimes. A commercial popped up, and it was about it was a golf institute, like a golf college. And basically it was an accredited college, and it was down in Orlando. It was two campuses, one in Orlando and one in Temecula, California. And my mother at the time, she didn't feel comfortable with me going to California. She wanted me to be, quote unquote, closer to home. She said, I feel better if you went to Orlando. So the rest is history, man. I packed up everything. I sold my car. I moved down here, no family, no friends. I just had this crazy pipe dream, man, that I was going to be a professional golfer. And I don't know what it was. I had no fear in it. I just went down here, and it wasn't easy. It was not easy at all. I kind of bit off more than I could chew at first, because just not having nobody, not having no support system. But again, back to the teachings of the Honorable Dion Muhammad, and what we were instilling, your instincts sometimes just kick in. Your survival instincts just kick in, and that's what I did. I just survived, and then now I'm thriving, I guess.
Yes, sir. Go ahead, Dion. Yeah. Praise be to Allah. Naima says, "Assalamu alaikum." Brother Earl says, "I send you his love, and thank you all for people who are watching the People's Podcast." So you're the first person I've ever met who grew up in the nation, who played golf openly and made it like, this is what I do. This is going to be the new thing. What advice would you give to younger people coming up who want to play golf, or who may not be exposed to golf? What are the steps they could do to get involved with that?
Well, it's funny, like you say that, because I do realize that it's such an oddity for us. But what got me comfortable with expressing it, and that's what I want to do, is the message always said friendship in all walks of life. So, if he say, it's not just words, it takes a lot of different avenues to explore, and you just realize there's so much out there. So the advice that I would get, it's funny because now more than ever in the COVID environment that we live in, golf is kind of back on the forefront, because it's something that you can practice for, safe social distancing. It's becoming something that's a good exercise. Good things for people to do where they're not obviously enclosed, encapsulated by other people. But it's still very much a sport that requires finances. So I think the first thing that I would tell anybody to do is reach out to me if you were interested in getting started, and or via you, and I can point them in the appropriate direction, because that's what it's all about, is the information. There's avenues, but we don't have the information. So we look at it and the obstacles that might, but there's always, that's why I'm here. We find things, we study the white man, and we make it our own, and we conquer it. So that's what my first advice would be, to reach out to me or Joshua, and I'll point you in the right direction.
Praise be to Allah. Go ahead, Dion. So Bronda says, when do we get our lesson? She's referring to her and her children. Aisha says, "Assalamu alaikum." Mimi says she's happy for you, bro. Excellent. And Sister Rhonda says she takes a lesson every year to tune up. I can't see Sister Rhonda playing golf, but okay, I can't see it.
He had it. She like it. We don't get together either when I'm in Chicago or when everything's settled down. And you bring the family down here. You definitely got a couple series of lessons from me, Sister Rhonda. No worries.
Okay, excellent. My next question for you is, what was the hardest part about growing up in the nation?
I think if I say the hardest part, you don't realize it at that time, but I think for us, we were sheltered, right? We were sheltered, and obviously my father had a health food store, 63rd, and so I got a chance to get out and kind of be in the community somewhat. But I think having that kind of a scope of being sheltered and looking at things from inside looking out. When you got around people who were not raised the same, it was maybe there was an adjustment period in trying to figure out, after ninth grade, I went to a public school. So it was a culture shock for me, so to speak, because I didn't go to school with girls. We couldn't intermingle like and you found yourself having to learn the hard way how to interact, and then you survived. But I think that's probably everybody that I hung around when I was in my neighborhood were not Muslims, so that's probably the hardest thing, that adjustment of kind of being in it, but then having to, when you're outside of people who don't understand how we communicate or our values and our morals, you're kind of like, what's wrong with you? Like, you're lame. You don't do that. It's just like, why you talk like that? So that type of thing. So you had those defense mechanisms you had to learn on your own. I think that's probably was the hardest part, to be honest with you, because we had it, to be honest, we had it made. I don't think we realized it at the time, but we had it made.
Absolutely. Praise be to Allah. Shout out to both of your parents. And thank you for your sacrifice, Brother Dion, and thank your family for you all sacrifice. Absolutely. For holding it down. Brother Chantel says, Assalamu alaikum from Mas, number 2C. And he says, please give your father, Lieutenant Ronnie, the greetings. Praise God. Yes, sir. My next question for you is, what was your favorite Savior's Day moment?
Man, I think some of them I can't say, obviously.
Thank you for that, Dion. My God.
Okay, I couldn't narrow it down to one moment. I think obviously, one of my first greatest memories is, I think it was, when was Savior's Day in LA? 94? Is that 94? I don't know. If it might have been 94, 93, 94, something like that.
I think 93. I think it's 93.
93. All right. So Savior's Day in LA. And I remember being in a believers meeting, and the minister going, and he just like, you all worthy of Muhammad. And he gave the whole stadium their Muhammad, Okay. And I can remember that. That was pretty exciting. And I remember we came back to Chicago as Muhammad, that's something I probably will never forget. I think I can't remember the year, but it was kind of a resurgence of the FOI uniforms, when, everybody started with the Mr. Blitz and up north, different colors and everything. And I think it was kind of cool. We were probably like 15, 16 years old. And that's kind of when the junior FOI was pretty hard. We were rolling back then. And I'll never forget, we got our own hotel room. We had our own cars. We had our own details. All of us had our FOI uniforms. And Ali was our minister. So I remember we went to a group home. We went to a couple of them. And it almost felt like we were a smaller version of the minister and all them. Because we were actually in the group homes, and Ali was preaching, and we all were standing posts, and to see obviously children who had the same upbringing as us, to see us the same age as them. And it was like, they were in a difficult situation, but to see us, how we were standing strong with our uniforms and, moving out, that was something I'll never forget. It was kind of like we were growing into manhood at that time.
Excellent job. Excellent. Absolutely. I definitely remember that. Mimi says you can't remember because y'all were wild. You can't say because y'all were wild at Savior's Day. I'm assuming she's saying me and you. But yeah, I definitely remember the group home days. Shout out to I spoke to Ali last year, and I had talked to him a long time. I spoke to him, so he's doing
And
good.
you remember, I remember you had more stars and stripes on your uniform than like, I mean, you was like Mustafa, bro. And the bro growing up on, they ain't like it at all. We were
At
walking around, they are. I remember that like it was yesterday.
Okay, so one of the things about being in Chicago, the minister could come to MUI or to the mosque, pop up with no security, just being around. What was it like to have such close access to the Most High Minister Louis Farrakhan at such a young age?
Man, again, you look at it now, and we just didn't realize how good we had it. I think we, to a certain extent, took it for granted having that access, being at headquarters, and basically, yeah, I remember a story where my mother was picking me and Lil Ron up from MUI, and we're driving home, and towards the edge of the end of Stony Island, it veers off. I haven't been in Chicago in so long. I think it's like I-80 going to Indiana, and then it's I-57 going to where we live in the south suburb. And I look over, and the minister is driving in his black two-seater Mercedes.
Yeah.
And I look over, and I'm like, Mom. And I'm like, that's the minister. And we honk, and we give him the greetings and everything. And it was obviously it was just like seeing any the greatest superstar you ever seen in your life.
Yeah.
We kind of was driving past him, and then he drove past, and he threw the peace sign to him, and it's just like, who gets to do that? You'll never see the minister driving by himself in the drop top ever again. But
yeah.
So yes, you're right. Just having that access, being in Chicago, where he would just pull up sometimes, particularly in the early '90s. He just stopped by, and I think that was man, it's priceless. Man, it's priceless.
Okay, excellent. Makita says ASA, she miss us, guys. Alaikum salam, Makita. Thank you for holding it down. Everybody from MUI, thank y'all for all tapping in. Okay, boom. Dion, behind me I have some amazing albums that inspired me and mean a lot to me. If you could pick an album that would be your favorite album of all time that could represent you, what album would it be?
Man, that's a hard question, man. That's a hard question. I don't know. I think if I could think of anything about probably a transition time, and what it probably meant, that Tupac All Eyes on Me. That double C.
I already knew what you was gonna say. I already knew it was a Tupac album. I already knew it was Zara Machiavelli. I already knew.
Yeah, it was me against the world, man.
Yeah.
But seriously, I think that was for me, how everybody can relate certain things and certain trials and tribulations you go through, that it kind of attaches certain things and certain meaning. Like if we're talking about like in a nation, that's probably something that would be the closest resemblance to it. Probably in a different time in my life, it'd be a different album. But as far as and I again, there's some things I can't say on here, but
Okay, that's a good one. Sister Brenda says those were some wonderful days. Absolutely, Sister Brenda. My next question is, what do you do for fun now?
It's funny because I work so much, and because my profession is golf. Before, where it seemed like maybe it's a leisure to some, it's not necessarily always a leisure to me. But to be honest with you, I still find fun, enjoyment in just doing it. Going out with a couple of guys and playing golf. Even though I play professionally at some level. But for me now, it's just being at the house with my little ones, just messing around with them, being on the couch. I have to be really doing a lot, but my children in that age right now where they're very young and active, and they got a million questions and they got a million things that they want to do.
Yeah.
Because they don't see me a lot. Well, I mean, they see me, I'm here every day, but they don't, for the most of the day, I'm gone. So just being at home with them and just playing and doing, just having that one-on-one time, particularly because I have girls, that's probably what I do for the most enjoyment, right?
Praise be so loud. Okay. What it was speaking of your daughters, what advice would you give to future fathers?
Um, that's probably full transparency. That's probably something that I struggle with the most is finding that necessary time. I think it's important. I think you can probably relate more so than anybody else. Um, what it's like to not necessarily have, your father there. Not saying that, not there in a capacity where he's an absentee father, but he's on the road doing things. He's making
Yeah.
things. And I think I I would say never let your career ambitions or the nation ambitions or just the struggle ever get in the way of what's at home. And just make sure you find that time. And it's something that I don't I'll be honest with you and say it's a struggle for me. I'm steady trying to learn. I'm steady trying to get better at it. So it's not like I'm a master at it by any means, but just finding that quality time to spend with it where they have your undivided attention. You're not in your phone, you're not, checking an email, you're not doing, this, that, and the third. You're just completely, kind of immersed in their presence and
Yeah, yeah,
being
yeah.
there. That's what I probably would say. Just always make sure you find that time. And another thing I would say was I want you have to be a parent your child is comfortable with expressing themselves. I don't think that's always the case. I think some people are fearful of maybe the parent, the mother, or the father, whoever the disciplinarian is, so they can't express themselves, even if it's out of frustration, even if it's out of anger, even if it's out of embarrassment. Being someone that your parents your children can confide in, because they're gonna try to confide in somebody,
Yeah,
whether it's,
yeah, yeah.
so you want to be that person that your children can confide in, can come to really about anything.
Okay, beautiful. And so Bronda says, Dion got babies. I said that is very. I knew that Dion would be a good father by how he was always protecting his brothers and stuff. So I knew that was, that would be the natural
Yeah,
progression of
that's
things. Yes, sir. Okay, my next question is, what do you want your legacy to be, Dion?
Man, that's a deep question, bro. Um, I would say that on a regular basis, I don't think about maybe my legacy. I'm just trying to maybe just build stepping stones. So my brother Lil Ron and I used to always talk, and I always said something like, it's crazy how white children, if they needed 30,000, they needed 50,000. And I see it because I'm in the industry that I'm in. Um, if one of the if Billy wants to go and play professional golf, his dad's gonna go to the club and they're gonna get 10 guys together and they're gonna put in 10,000, and Billy's gonna see what he got out there for at least a couple of years
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
see what he can do. And then if Billy doesn't make it, then one of his dad's friends is going to hire Billy at their company, making, 100 and a quarter, for his company. And I think that if I could do anything, give us that access, give us that opportunity, give somebody like Joshua, you have a son. Hey, my son wants to play golf. Okay, all right, we're going to put together 10 and we're going to put, little
Yeah,
Josh
yeah,
out.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Or whatever it is, investing in each other, being able to have somebody that can bankroll something and they're not worried about, if they're going to get it. Because I see it. They don't worry about if they're going to get the money back. Don't worry about it. We gave you a shot. You had the shot. If I could have anything, I think it would be to build that where, our family, extended family, your son, my son, if I ever have one, my daughter, whoever can have that outlet to say, hey, I want to do something. I want to go into finance. I want to go into stocks and trades. I want to go, I think that's probably one of the things that we didn't have growing up. It was all about the mission, right? It was all about the mission, but and it's no fault to anybody, but there was a narrowness to it that there was no sport and play, but like I told you before, hey, who's to say that somebody could have made it and got $100 million contract on sport and play, and then came back and bring it, give 30 to the 30 million to the MUI.
Yeah, yeah.
There's so many avenues that I think if we have a narrowness to saying, oh, we don't do that, we don't do that, then I think we're missing an opportunity. So as far as legacy, if I could be, when it's all said and done, if I could have that, create them lanes that somebody can go to and say, hey, I need this. Can we help? Can we invest in sisters restaurant? Can we invest in brothers, you know, landscaping company?
Yeah.
No problem. Put together a business pro. Let's do a 10-year plan. Let's do 5 years. No interest. Things of that nature. So I know it's a long-winded answer, but yeah, that would be my legacy.
Man, praise be. So it's excellent because I would have got the $100 million contract if they would have had a football team, so I could have played running back at Notre Dame. I would have went to pro, came right back. Probably would have played for the St. Louis Rams. You know what I'm saying? Came right back.
No, absolutely. And I think the worst part about it is to say you never know. If somebody might say, "Oh, that's preposterous." You never know. At least provide us with the opportunity, right? Being, it could be an instrument, a violin, it could be a ballerina. It could be, you just thinking of entertainment. It could be so many different things that you never know unless you have the opportunity, you're exposed to it. And then you can say you never had that regret. See, like right now, you always, I could have, I say I could have did, and we never know now. And that's part of life. We're gonna always have regrets, but I think that I think we always have that kind of that bittersweetness of it, like, man, we never got a chance to play on basketball teams. We never got a chance to play. But it is what it is.
Absolutely, especially MUI. We could have been Westbrook and Harden. I would have been Westbrook, of course. You know what I'm saying? You could have been Harden. So we could have been that dynamic backcourt. You know what I'm saying? For the MUI, whatever basketball team we would have had.
That's the thing. It's like, man, come on now. Just because we're Muslims, we had talent. We got talent. We got just as much talent as anybody. And I think it's that sometimes I think because we don't have anybody that directly represents us, that's why we feel so good when an entertainer takes a picture with the minister or posts as a minister, because we don't have anybody to be like, but it'd be nice if we had somebody who was ours. That not saying, obviously, we're all brothers and sisters. I don't mean it from there, but somebody that came from the same tree that we came from, to be like, all right, that's our shining star.
Yeah.
So hopefully it'll happen. Inshallah, that'll happen.
Absolutely. Okay, yeah, I have a question because I want to ask you about my brother Rashad has a daughter.
Yeah.
And I want to ask you about the importance of, it seems like a lot of people have, daughters, but hold that thought. I got to make sure I shout out all my sponsors for this week's episode of the People's Podcast. Sister Tracy says, beautiful answer. So Rhonda says, we pray we get there one day. Okay, Street Premiere Media Production, 4K camera and drones. They do TV editing, movie editing. Shout out to Rashad and Jamal. My sister Mimi's coloring book, ABC I Love Me, and children's book on Amazon. Thank you very much, Mimi, for always being a sponsor. Sister Naima, Stay on Point Dance Academy, LLC. She teaches ballet to girls virtually all across the country. Supreme Men's Clothing, been holding it down since day one. Thank you all very much. If you all need some clothes, reach out to our brother in St. Louis. Big Ron Muhammad in Arizona, VP and Security Manager of BMW Entertainment. Thank you for sponsoring. Speaking of raising Black millionaires, Sister Tia Muhammad, Economic Empowerment for Young Children so they can be financially wealthy, like my brother Dion was speaking of. Brother Kenneth Muhammad, bow tie maker extraordinaire. If y'all need some bow ties, thank you very much, Brother Kenneth. Our brother Todd X McGraw, Supreme Team Insurance. If y'all need some insurance, make sure we reach out to our brother. Thank you. I'm coming right back to you, Dion. Exodus, a new way of life credit restoration. If you need some good credit, they know how to restore it and make sure we get all of that great stuff. Colleagues Boutique, thank you all for your shirt. It went viral the other day. They have some great fashion. I appreciate that. Brother Chantel, who's formerly of 2C, his express company is a freight company. I thank you for your support as well, sir. Brother Maurice D. Muhammad, he sells gold. Let's make sure we reach out to our brother, the real money. Also, our sister Landra L. Muhammad, Navy beans, more than bean pies. Okay, yes, ma'am. We're going to support you. Our Dr. Henry Carter out of Atlanta, Georgia. He has King Henry's turkey legs. Let's make sure we support our brother. Our sister with the home decoration, the home decor. She has beautiful products. I want to thank you for your support as well. Brother Dorsey out of Baltimore, Water for Life. I thank you very much for your endorsement. I'm coming right back to you, Dion. Brother Rashad from Chicago of the E-Team, COVID Cleaning Company. I thank you very much, Brother Rashad, for your support, and let's make sure we support our brother in Chicago. My father's book, A Soldier in the Movement of Christ, abdulsharif.com. Thank you very much, Dad. Last but not least, my two books, which Brother Dion is on he wrote I quote his quoting on the back of my book, No Father, No Excuse. So I thank you, Dion, for your support. You was one of the first people to get my book and then had something positive to say about it. It really means a lot to me, bro. And we coming right back to you. Boom. All right, so Dion, I got a lot of comments, so I want to make sure I read this to you.
All right.
Okay, so Aisha says you're teaching, bro. Sister Brenda said you all have roles above any limitations that you thought were imposed on you. So proud. Thank you, Sister Brenda. We're proud of you, Sister Brenda, because you're one of our favorite teachers.
Absolutely.
Dion, I think Dion used to I think who we had doing. Sister Brenda was there. We had Sister Latanya, Sister Mary, Brother Abdul.
Hey, listen, hold on, just to interject real quick. Sister Brenda used to babysit me and Lil Ryan, all my little brothers, right? And it's funny, I used to want to play drums. So we'd be in the crawl space, Lil Ryan and I, and we'd be banging on pots and pans, making songs and everything. And Sister Brenda was the most encouraging. She definitely always supported our creativity. Most babysitters would be like, all right, cut that noise out. Let's, wrap it up. Let's go read some How I Eat to Live or something like that. And she was encouraging us and kind of singing along with us. So yeah, no, she was awesome, man. It's a beautiful soul.
Praise be to Allah. And Sister Rhonda says she prays that Rhonda from Chicago, who went to MUI as well, prayed that we all get there one day. Absolutely. Sister Tracy says it's a fear of the parents that the world will suck y'all in with all this glitter and sparkles. It's by listening to y'all speak now that we are learning how our desires to protect actually made the world more enticing. I pray y'all can grow to understand why we did what we did and not see it as not wanting to see y'all grow. Absolutely, Sister Tracy. Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
And Sister Brenda said, "Child at heart." Yes, Dion, I forgot about your drum design, your drum dreams. Boy, I couldn't go over to Dion's house. It was gonna be a band over there. I was like, I just want to play video games, but Dion wants to play. He's lining up with the drums and stuff.
Yeah. No, we definitely have a lot of different endeavors. And then just to expound on what she just said, I think my father asked me that like a couple of years ago. I was at his house, and it was like kind of my first time being back at his house it's different when you go to your parents' house and now you're a parent. And my father asked me that question, and it's a dangerous question. I said, well, how do you think we did as parents, and what could we have done as parents? And then, I'm not gonna go into everything that I said. And I think my answer then would be different now that I have two children and I'm a little older. But I think what's important and what I realized, obviously we're not supposed to, judge our parents, but what I realized is that there's no manual to it. And particularly at that time when you were dealing with, in the nation of, just knowledge yourself in general is very powerful. But in that era that we grew up in, it was very much a push. It was all about the mission. And I think our parents did the best that they could with what they had. I know that their intentions were always the best. And I think it's the same thing with me and my children. I'm going to make mistakes. I'm going to look back on things and say, man, I wish I would have did this. Wish I would have did that. But the progression is always needs to be there. So now the next generation is going to have the exposure that the other ones didn't. And like she said, it's the dialogue to not get defensive and you take it in. It's the dialogue to say, hey, yes, if we would have had this, maybe we would have maybe followed the straight and narrow a little bit better. But every parent does their best for their child. There's no perfect way to this.
Praise be to Allah. Excellent. And also, if you all don't know, Brother Dion will be going into politics because you can't throw him off. You can't catch Dion off guard. You know what I'm saying? You can't catch him off guard.
That's my problem. I just talk too much sometimes.
Sister Latasha says, "Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Alaikum salam." Sister Latasha. Boom. Okay, Dion, I was going to ask you about seeing my brother, tough, angry, mad all the time, has a daughter, softens up to the daughter. You have two daughters. I see so many people who we came up with that if they have sons, it's like they still like the same. How has a daughters changed you or impacted you?
Yeah, that goes without saying. For everyone that knows me and my family, I'm the oldest of 5 boys, so now 5 men. So obviously that's a completely different dynamic growing up in my household, to now it's a household where I'm the minority. I got 3 women in my household.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of patience that I have to use now that it's not um, I don't spank my daughters. I don't yell at my daughters. My wife has helped me understand the importance of the relationship between father and daughter. And because of that, I try to make sure that I always conduct myself a certain way. Again, I'm not perfect. I definitely have mistakes. Um, but with daughters, you just have to be a little bit more careful, and more observant, and again, more patient more than anything. They're children, just like boys. They're gonna do stuff that's gonna make you frustrated. And my daughters are so polar opposite. Leah is the gentle kind of ballerina princess and things like that, and Zuri is a rough rider. So she's like the son I never had. So there's a difference, and like you said, you can see it in your brother. It's very, very interesting how you can be born, raised in the same household, same parents, and be so totally different. We in the nation, we have so many families that got like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9,
Yeah.
13 of them. And there's so many different complexities to them. So, and I see it just with having two. My daughters are so much different. So that's another thing. Your approach can't always be the same. One learns things faster than another. One might be interested in other things that the other one is not interested in. So it's more so that patience and that observance, and just I think just the importance of I'm daddy. So I play an important role in the lives of my daughter being daddy. So I think that's a big responsibility. So yes, it does change you. I had to re-alter. However, you talked about well, you asked me one time, well, the traditions is like. The traditions from all being in all male households are going to be very much different from having all girls. So we'll have really very much traditions that carry over from household to household, if you will.
Absolutely. And Sister Rhonda said them dang on Rashads. Absolutely. Because our brothers is me and you and them two together. So you already know what it is.
Yeah,
Omar says he's tapping in saying, showing you love, Dion, from Chicago.
absolutely.
From 167 Pulaski. All right. So here we go. So my next question is, are you ever going to coaching or some form of ministry? Because you got it. You got it. So what you gonna do?
Okay, so um, right now I'm the head golf professional at Walt Disney World Golf. So basically, I run 3 golf courses. Um, I got a staff of probably like 60 or 70.
Yeah, D, yeah.
So that's that. So I'm running the operation right now. So it's funny how, again, being in the nation and some of these intangibles and some of these lessons that you learn, how it carries over. Um, because obviously I'm a leader. Um, a lot of these qualities that I have that make me an effective leader, I learned from the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. So I plan to continue to move up in that aspect. I want to be, I want to go and be a vice president of maybe a big resort, become a president of a resort, not because I want to forever work for somebody else, and eventually I want to have my own. So I have to have
Sir.
things of that nature. So that's kind of my role, my objective right now, to see how far I can go in the business side of golf, because I've basically committed myself to this profession for the last 13 years. So yeah, that's right now. That's what I'm doing. Every day it's different. I manage people from 18 to 92. And they're white, black. It's all around the whole spectrum. So again, friendships in all walks of life. So I have my hands full right now with that. So I don't think I'll be going into ministry anytime soon.
Well, you definitely are. I believe in.
You the minister. I say you the minister, not me.
Yeah, right. Nah, hell no. You was the minister. I was holding security for you. So
yeah, my father said I was the minister, you was the captain. I was the minister.
Yeah. You was always teaching. I'm proud of you, Dion. You put on for MUI in so many ways. I'll see you soon in Orlando. I was blessed to visit your home and to just spend some time with you when I went on a vacation. And it made me so proud to see somebody who I grew up with was just not pursuing their dreams, but living their dreams in a happy way. And to see, you know, and there's so many stories that people think that people who grew up in the nation, it's always just tragic or it's bad. It's like, nah, bro, it ain't all of it. Some of us made it through and are living, a lot of us all around the world. So I thank you for being the first guest so I can highlight a successful person who grew up in the nation, man, who still believe, and happy family. Greetings to your media family, your extended family, everybody. Let it, you know, we love y'all. Ain't nothing but love on this end.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I'll probably, I would say the same thing. Obviously, growing up in Chicago, your father was like a hero to us, your mother as well. So I would definitely say I thank your parents and all the sacrifices that they made, which is, I mean, you can't even add it up. It's just insurmountable sacrifices that they've made for the city of Chicago, for the nation in its entirety. And you guys are obviously products of that. And you guys have sacrificed as well and lived a life that was not always comfortable. And I think that it's important that everybody understands that, you know, none of this is easy. You know,
yeah.
Sometimes you make it look easy, but it ain't easy. You know, and so I definitely commend you. I love your family like they were mine, my own blood. I wish the best. I'm so proud of you and your sister Mimi. She's just she's a shining star. I think that the kind of her approach and her mindset is something that we need, not only in the nation but just in general as Black people. That compassion and that just different perspective of how to do things and mental health and all that, all those positive things. And your sister, we're gonna get Aaliyah in the ballerina class. We just
praise to
and obviously your brother Rashad, with your whole family, man, and everybody that I haven't talked to in years that from MUI. I mean, it doesn't matter for me. You know how you and I are. If we haven't seen each other, we don't miss a beat. And I kind of feel the same way with a lot of ones that I haven't seen in a while. You know, I love all of them from the bottom of my heart, man. It's like that shaped us. That was my family. That's our family growing up. So
yes, sir.
Yeah,
yes, sir.
I wouldn't be the man I am today without those experiences, you know? So, but thank you, man. This is definitely a privilege to be here, bro.
Thank you very much. I just want to read some of the comments. Sister Tracy says, Mimi's words choose joy. Thank you, Brother Dion. This is amazing. This is awesome. Amazing. Mimi says, all praise to Allah. Give your family greetings. So many comments. Thank you all. Praise to Allah. Beautiful interview. Beautiful. Alhamdulillah. Sister Curtisa says, teachings makes us leaders. Rashad says, teach Brother Dion. Just thank you all, man. And for everybody who doesn't know, there was a time period, you know, when Dion, where it was like, I was so away from the mosque, you know what I'm saying? I was like, I'm out, I'm playing sports. I mean, it's not a game. And Dion came to our house and he saw when my father was a spring captain, how we was just living, how it was just like, it's so opposite when everybody wasn't around us and they're showing us love. And Dion came and he was still like, Dion, I was like, yeah, away from me, Dion. Like, and he was reminding us that it's still family. Like even though a lot of people switched out, Dion was always there. So I thank you, Dion, for being sincere. And your mom, you know how my moms and your moms get down. You know how my father and your father get down. So, and then Rashad and the two Rashads and then everybody. So shout out to all your brothers, your moms, your dad, everybody. Thank you for being consistent as a friend. And man, when I get married, you know, we're gonna lock it in. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, so let's talk about that real quick. When you plan on getting married?
Talk about that offline. We talk about that offline.
I saw that. I gotta look at your little your piece that you did with your father.
Yeah.
I gotta see what you said because in a few years we're gonna be 40, bro. I don't know. Procrastinator.
It's all good, brother. Thank you for that, Dion. Thank you for that, Coach G.
I get it. You've been waiting for the perfect one. She gotta be this, she gotta be that, she gotta be that.
It's not about her, it's about me. It's about what I gotta be, Dion, not about what she has to be. The Black woman that's already a goddess. Boom, just like that.
There you go.
Yeah, see, Dion's political. I'm media trained too. Boom, just like that. It's not about that. Boom.
Exactly.
It's not about the inside. We're not about the outside. All right, but love y'all. Thank y'all for watching. Thank you, Dion. Aisha said,
All right, some Lego, everybody.
Thank you all for watching People's Podcast. I'm putting it on YouTube, Dion.
All right, perfect. All right.